Fashion police remain out at the 49ers facility, so I had to make sure that this was a Blazer show. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Black V-neck, gray blazer. I think it works. Hope that it works for Kyle Shanahan better than Brandon Aiyuk's red shorts. We're going to call this day ShortsGate from now on. Here's my video from practice. Brandon Aiyuk showed up dressed differently than he normally does and differently than everybody else at practice in these baggier red shorts. Here he is running a route in red zone. Nice catch. Here he is talking with Deebo Samuel, who has black shorts on. Anyway, at one point, Kyle Shanahan walked up to Brandon Aiyuk, who was wearing those shorts, and we didn't hear what he was saying because there's music playing and we're on the sideline. But after some discussion, Brandon Aiyuk changed into the black shorts. After practice, we heard from Kyle Shanahan, and he answered a fairly simple question. It looked like this. Did Brandon Aiyuk come out to practice today wearing the wrong shorts? Kyle Shanahan said, yeah, he did. Good question. Is that a punishable offense? No, I wish I could wear different shorts, Kyle Shanahan said, chuckling throughout this whole time. I don't think he was really chuckling during the on-field stuff. There's Deebo Samuel first catching a touchdown pass in red zone. Deebo, by the way, looks like he's going to play on Sunday. But during the on-field incident, Kyle Shanahan had more of a stern face, telling Brandon Aiyuk that he needs to probably, I'm guessing that's what he said, that he needs to change shorts. That combined with Shanahan actually talking about it later, saying, yeah, he was wearing the wrong shorts, but no, that's not a punishable offense. That's ShortsGate. So anyway, because the fashion police are out, I mean, they've been out at 49ers training camp and at the 49ers building so far this year. Remember when George Kittle called out the media for not liking our sneakers? Now, Kyle Shanahan apparently wants Brandon Aiyuk to change into the black shorts. Hey, it's football practice. Everybody's required to wear the same thing. You can't just go out there and show up wearing red shorts when everybody else is wearing black shorts. That appears to have been the standard for the 49ers. But I'm going to talk about a more important question. That seems to have been on everybody's mind. It's a viral social media kind of thing. As you can tell, it's a tongue-in-cheek headline from me. Will Brandon Aiyuk possibly overcome ShortsGate to have a big game against the Patriots? Because that is the important question at hand. I can't wait till Sunday gets here so we can actually analyze more football instead of practice apparel from players who have just signed $120 million contracts. But the true fact of the matter is that all of Brandon Aiyuk's numbers are down through the first 3 games of this 2024 season, or ever since signing the contract. Success rate, which is the measure of how often receivers gain is efficient. So Pro Football Focus defines that as at least 40% of yards required on first down, 60% of yards required on second down, and a full conversion on third or fourth down. Aiyuk's success rate's only 45% this year. It had been 61% over the course of his career before this year, 71% last year. So 45% through 3 games. He's averaging about 40 receiving yards per game. That is less than half of what he averaged last year, 84 yards per game over the whole season. His catch percentage, which is receptions divided by targets, was at 71% last year, down to 55% this season. Yards per target, last year, nearly 13 yards per target. This year, only 6 yards per target. I get it. The sample is still small, but as you can see, Brandon Aiyuk was an all-pro last year. He got paid just a couple weeks ago, and every single statistic through 3 games has been lower this season, including some of the separation numbers, which I try not to put too much stock into, but the next-gen stat separation numbers haven't been quite as good. But I also look at some of the graded separation numbers, and those have not been at the same level for Brandon Aiyuk as well. In fact, I could probably open up the chart that I showed throughout the entire offseason and throughout a lot of last year, but especially throughout the offseason as Aiyuk and the 49ers were negotiating. There was one chart that I showed a whole heck of a lot because Aiyuk was such a standout in that chart. And he's not as much of a standout through the first 3 games this year. And the reason that I liked to put that one out there was because it's so hard to gauge separation statistically because next gen stats, for example, only count separation when the football heads that particular receiver's direction. There's so much that happens on plays where the ball is going elsewhere. So I think that some of this is necessitates taking subjective grading and making it as objective as possible, which is what PFF does its best at doing. And we ended up having the graph last year that had Brandon Aiyuk on the upper right. It was this graph. And his spot last year was about where Chris Olave of the Saints is this season, over here in the upper right, circling him. But basically, raw PFF separation grade is charted on the x-axis, and raw PFF catch point and yards after the catch grades are charted on the y-axis. So the goal is to be further to the right and further up. And Aiyuk was really easy to spot last year as he was here in the upper right. This season, not nearly as easy to spot. In fact, you see his name right here, but it's pointing to his logo right here. And I know it's a mess and you probably can't see it on your screen, but that's my point. He is in the mix with the average receiver this year in the NFL. Now, again, it's still early. Somebody like Devontae Adams is near Brandon Aiyuk early on. The grading hasn't been great for him either. CeeDee Lamb, a little bit better with the separation, about the same, catch point and yak. The outliers this year so far are Chris Olave, Nico Collins, and look, Juwan Jennings. So Juwan Jennings has been the better graded receiver by far for the 49ers so far in this 2024 season. And Aiyuk, even though he was way up here last year throughout the entire season through 3 games, is down here. So the numbers, the grading indicate that the separation hasn't been as good. The catch point stuff, I think, definitely hasn't been as good for Brandon Aiyuk. I mean, just go back to this game against the Los Angeles Rams. I think the 49ers clearly were focused on trying to get the ball to Brandon Aiyuk through the game plan early on. And, you know, it wasn't his fault that there was a lot of defensive attention on him on the first touchdown to Juwan Jennings, and it was a great play by Brock Purdy to scan away from Brandon Aiyuk and go to Jennings. But I think the one play that we can be most critical of was on the third drive. 49ers up 14-0. If they make that game 21-0, the Rams aren't coming back. I think we can safely say that. Aiyuk is working against Tre'Davious White, crossing from left to right in front of Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy throws the pass, and Tre'Davious White is in decent coverage. He's not too far behind Brandon Aiyuk, but Purdy puts that pass where it needs to be. And it would have been a contested catch, but Brandon Aiyuk did not make it. Brandon Aiyuk had the ball. I mean, I guess White got his hand in there and knocked the football away, and that was that. And the 49ers had to punt the football away, and their lead never grew past 14 points. When we talk about some of the stats that have dropped off for Brandon Aiyuk from 2023 to 2024, one of them that I listed was catch percentage. It's gone down from 71.4% to 55%. You could be sure that that one play hurt his catch percentage. I think that he was catching so many. He was like a vacuum cleaner last year. He was catching so many of those contested balls. This season, we've already seen a handful of contested balls not turn out in catches for Brandon Aiyuk, including what should have been a touchdown pass against the Jets. There was another play against the Jets. I think that it was Sauce Gardner on coverage. He was able to knock the football away from Brandon Aiyuk. He just seems, I don't know if I want to say step slower, but it seems that something about the form isn't 100% there. Aiyuk has acknowledged after some of these games that it hasn't been 100%. I get it. He has missed training camp for the 49ers, but we're now coming up on late September, and that means that October is just around the corner. And I had always looked at it as, okay, well, he misses 4 or 5 weeks of valuable training camp time. Well, 4 or 5 weeks into the regular season, things should be picking up because now he's had the practice time to knock off that rust, build some of the cohesion, move into form alongside Brock Purdy. And that time, that inflection point is either coming this Sunday or it's going to be coming shortly after that for Brandon Aiyuk. And they had Jawan Jennings carry the load on Sunday against the Rams, but at some point, the 49ers are going to need Aiyuk to carry more of the load just based on the way the defenses play the 49ers. And with the numbers being down so far, they're going to need to make an uptick. And that's why everything that he does is under major, major scrutiny right now, because he's being paid a lot of money and the statistics have not been what they were last year. So you start to get scrutiny like ShortsGate, which happened in front of everybody on the field today. Brandon Aiyuk wearing the baggy red shorts that nobody else was wearing. And it appeared that Kyle Shanahan took exception to that. Kyle Shanahan later said that, yeah, he was wearing the wrong shorts to practice. Brandon Aiyuk changed out of those shorts and put on the black shorts later. There he is, making a nice grab during red zone work. That's Deebo Samuel next to Brandon Aiyuk wearing the proper shorts. So that's that. Let's not harp on this too much. It is what happened today, and I'm here to bring you every single bit of 49ers news and drama. So I'm going to stay true to that. Hopefully we covered it well. Speaking of Deebo Samuel, he probably is going to be back for the 49ers on Sunday. You can hear straight from Deebo Samuel as well if you would like. Talk to him in the locker room today. Here he is, right in front of his locker.
Where you thought you'd be at this point?
Health-wise? I think I'm right where I'm supposed to be. You know, with the information that I was given and the time frame, set up pretty well.
How'd you feel out there?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah.
I know it's probably not a surprise to you, but what Juwan did against the Rams, what was your view and just what did you observe?
Man, the man went crazy. I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm just like, man, like I always said, like when Juwan get the opportunity and it presents himself, he go out there and make all the plays coming his way, and I mean, that is what he did.
With him, I mean, he's been around obviously a while, but just think of him coming off that game, what he showed he could do, and now the three of you guys, you, Brandon, and Juwan on the field together. Do you kind of think about the possibilities that you guys have going forward?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's always the sky's the limit with it when all the three of us out there together, and especially like not only is this third and Juwan, but as you can see, like he's making plays all over the field, and you know I was happy for him for sure.
Deebo, you know this position, the receiver position. What makes Juwan such a good player in your mind?
His confidence level. The way he go out there and prepare every day. In his mind, he's the best player in the world. So I think that's what makes him who he is.
Did anything jump out at you when you were watching the Patriots film?
Yeah, they do a good job of disguising their coverages and stuff, and they play hard and fast.
Deebo, Kyle told us you're going to miss multiple games. Was that the word you got initially, that you're probably going to miss at least 2 games?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's not going to say nothing that we ain't discussed as a whole. So, you know, I mean, that's what the case was. But, you know, I came back feeling pretty good, and we went to practice the past 2 days and still feeling good. So we'll just see how it goes.
Where do you feel the offense is as far as third downs? You know, Christian not out there, best third down back in the league. Always a good first and second down back too. But what do you guys have to do differently? Or are there different roles that you guys can kind of be fit into to be more effective on third downs?
We just got to make the plays when the plays come. Be exactly where we need to be, and trust Brock put us in the right position. Also, Kyle put us in the right position to go out there and make plays.
How big on using rushing attempts for the 49ers is a real key stat. Because if you run the ball 35 times, it means a lot of things. It means third down on both sides has been good. It means a lot of positive stuff. Do you enjoy those games as a receiver, like a game when you're running the ball that much?
Well, I just enjoy being out there, whether we're running the ball or throwing the ball. At the end of the day, we do whatever it takes to win the game.
Mm-hmm. You guys seem to all have such a taste for blocking among the receivers that you can continue to have as much fun.
Oh, yeah, we take pride in it over here for sure.
Yeah.
Do you miss the Netflix cameras this year?
No, I ain't tripping about that.
You're all good with that?
All right, that's Deebo Samuel. As you can see, he's in good spirits. Seems that he's feeling up to playing on Sunday. It was a quicker recovery. If that ends up coming to fruition, we should still couch it with an if. But it was a quicker recovery than I think most people expected, Kyle Shanahan included. He thought this was going to be a couple weeks. But John Lynch said on KMBR this morning that the best athletes tend to heal a little bit quicker. They've got the genetics, right? They have something about them that allows the body to do stuff that wows us on the football field, but also off the football field. They're able to recover and bounce back from certain injuries a little quicker. And, that's going to put the 49ers in position to deliver more yards after the catch. When we talk about this matchup with the New England defense, first, the 49ers need to look within to see what they could still do better offensively moving forward. And I will say that there definitely still is meat on the bone for the 49ers against the New England Patriots based on their performance over the course of the first 3 games. This is 49ers yards after the catch per completion, and their NFL ranks in each of the past 7 seasons. There are a whole lot of number 1 ranks there. Even 2018, that's before this team had a whole heck of a lot of talent. They ranked number 1 in yak per completion. 2019, number 1. 2020, number 1. 2021, number 1. 2022, same figure as 2021, 6.6 yards after the catch per completion. But number 1 was 6.7. So the 49ers were still elite, but not quite the top spot. Last year, back into the top spot at 6.6. As you can tell, one of these numbers is not like the others, and it is the 2024 number. Down to 3.1. It's been more than cut in half, the 49ers yards after the catch per completion, and they rank dead last in the NFL. Now, nobody's saying that this 49ers offense is bad. Brock Purdy's playing really well. Jawan Jennings was otherworldly last week. The offensive efficiency is still top 7. The passing efficiency now is top 4. But the fact that they've been able to get top 4 passing efficiency despite the yak tumbling from number 1 to number 32 over the first 3 games is significant to me. That means they can still get a whole lot better offensively. And you know what? The 49ers might need to get a whole lot better offensively, given how much their defense and their special teams has struggled. Anyway, with Deebo Samuel likely to play, with George Kittle almost certainly penciled in, he wasn't even on the injury report anymore. 2 of the best yak guys in the league are going to be back for the 49ers. I asked Kyle Shanahan today about these numbers, and he said, well, yeah, of course, losing Kittle, losing Deebo Samuel, losing Christian McCaffrey. We'll have an update on him in a little bit. Of course, that adversely affects this, but Shanahan also thinks the 49ers haven't had many big screen pass plays yet, and he said they've got to get that going. So I wouldn't be surprised, and it all depends on how defenses are playing. And one thing about how the 49ers are being defended right now is that they're seeing about twice as many 3-man rushes, and that means 8 men in coverage. They're seeing twice as much of that because as the second place team in the NFL. So the 49ers are seeing way more 3-man fronts, lighter pass rushes, more men in coverage than anybody else in the league. And what that's done is it creates more bodies on the back end, tighter windows for Brock Purdy to throw into, and also more tacklers can rally up and try to get the 49ers pass catchers after they catch the football. So it's minimized some of the yak for San Francisco. It also means that you probably don't want to run as many screen passes if opposing defenses are rushing only 3. So I think a lot of that, works into the numbers that we see here with the 49ers lower in yak. But I think that Kyle Shanahan, who talked both about the screen passes and also about Kittle, about Deebo Samuel, about Christian McCaffrey, I think it's a personnel thing as well for San Francisco. They just haven't had the same personnel on the field that they normally do. But that should change this week when they do play the New England Patriots, who, by the way, do not rank well defensively. Tim and I got together for our 49ers predictions piece. By the way, at 2:30 p.m. on Tuesday, Tim and I are going to have a big live Q&A from the San Francisco Standards headquarters to really get this rolling. So be sure to put that on your calendars. 2:30 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesday. It's going to be a live video. I don't know if it's going to be co-streamed on my channel. I'll check with them. But we're also going to be trying to grow the Standards YouTube channel. So for sure it will be there. Maybe we'll post the recording of it later on this channel. I can't guarantee that. But either way, be sure to tune in. That's going to be 2:30 on Tuesday. You could see the advertisement for it there. But 49ers and Patriots, we've got the 5 fast predictions. And some of this pass game talk is in there. Then I wrote a big dedicated article toward what the 49ers pass game is going to try to do. And that includes all the injury updates. That's going to be up at any second. I'm going to go ahead and send the link to that to Mike. The link for this one up on the screen, the 5 fast predictions that you can go check out right now, is already available. And I'll check here in a second to see if that other article is up. But before that, we can go through some of the other 49ers injury news from practice today. Stuff seems to keep on popping up, but they're also getting good news to go along with the stuff that's popping up. I'll get to the good news in a bit. But Trent Williams, he came into the building today with a sore toe and was unable to practice because of it. So he's questionable now for the game on Sunday. And I think that the biggest danger that this New England defense presents is their edge rusher, Keon White. And Keon White's going to work against all different types of offensive linemen. He'll work against left tackle. He'll slide over to the right side, work against right tackle. Kyle Shanahan said that he might be at his scariest when he's rushing against the guards on the inside. So needless to say, if you don't have Trent Williams out there, who's now questionable with the toe injury, Keon White becomes a bigger problem. Now, again, nobody is saying that this is a good Patriots defense. They rank number 27 in EPA per play. But if there is one true danger point, one best player on this New England defense, it is Keon White, the edge rusher. So we're going to be taking a very, very long look at Trent Williams during warmups. And, you know, obviously, that is if he does warm up in this game for the 49ers. So obviously, we're going to be tracking that news throughout the course of the weekend. Also questionable for the 49ers is Talanoa Hufanga, who happened to roll his ankle. So he did not practice for San Francisco on Friday. So he's been back for one game following the torn ACL against the Rams. And now Talanoa Hufanga is questionable for San Francisco moving forward into this game against the Patriots. It has been confirmed that Curtis Robinson tore his ACL. So unfortunately, the Stanford product is done for the season. Better news for the 49ers is that D. Winters, the second-year linebacker, has now been back at practice 2 straight games. He's listed as questionable, but if they need some more linebacker depth with Curtis Robinson out, D. Winters might be able to supply it in Sunday's game. Then Jordan Elliott is back. Jordan Elliott rolled his ankle at Thursday's practice, was carted off the field, but it turns out that looked worse than it actually is. Jordan Elliott's questionable for this game, and he did speak to the media at his locker today. I think this is our first interview with Jordan Elliott as well. So have a listen in here to Jordan Elliott, big 49ers defensive tackle, if I could find it. There we go. Big 49ers defensive tackle who rolled his ankle at practice but should be ready to go, at least based on our talk with him on Sunday. 49ers, I think, need him to be ready to go against this heavy set New England running game, and with no Javon Hargrave, who's torn his triceps muscle. Here's Jordan Elliott.
At the end of the day, I feel like we're here to stop the run, you feel me? Like, I think that's one thing we got to do this week. Not really looking at it like it's about a specific back or anything like that. We're just doing our job. Ain't really it ain't nothing like crazy, you know what I mean?
Do you feel like you kind of escaped an injury thing yesterday?
Yeah.
Because John Lynch was saying on the radio today that he wasn't talking specifically about this game, but he's going, we think it's nothing long term. It looks
It's good.
What ended up happening yesterday?
Broke my ankle.
How do you just kind of adapted to the scheme? I mean, you've been here for a few months now. And
It's kind of similar to Cleveland. It's more detail here, you know. The expectation is different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is, you know.
That was a really good front in Cleveland. What did playing for the number one defense kind of do for your career and, you know, allow you to get ready to bring something to this front?
It kind of just showed me the blueprint, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's one of those things. It's not no secret, you know, recipe or anything to it. You know, you just play hard, you know, reset the line of scrimmage, and that's the game, you know what I mean? So.
do offenses play both the way they played Myles Garrett?
Yeah, they do. Honestly, they do. Yeah, chip the shit out of them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, both very well respected.
Obviously, you guys do a lot of rotating, but with Hargrave now out,
Right.
does you feel like there's an elevated sense for you in terms of producing?
Yeah, I think it's for everybody on the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't replace a guy like that with one person. You know what I mean? So as a collective, you know, we have to pick it up. You know.
When it comes to the run defense, that's something that you ranked really well in last year. How important what is the message right now? I know the run defense hadn't been great. Have you guys been talking about the need to tighten that up?
Kind of what I started off with, just playing our style of ball. You know what I mean? Stopping the run. That's what we do. It's a part of our DNA. You know what I mean? We have to just show that on Sunday. There's nothing else to it. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
And what challenges did you see on the Patriots running game?
They have a big physical O-line, you know, but I feel like we have a physical D-line as well. So it's about the battle in the trenches. That's what it is.
As an interior run stuffing guy, would you prefer facing a power back, that shifty, speedy guy that can?
Oh yeah, I ain't trying to get juked on my cleats now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Thanks for your time today.
So you heard Jordan Elliott talking about the big Patriots offensive line that, by the way, I don't think it's a good Patriots offensive line, but it's a big one. Better run blockers than pass blockers for sure for the New England Patriots. I think that they got a rookie starting at the right guard position that the 49ers might be able to pick on in this football game. I talk about the entire matchup in the article that is indeed out now on the San Francisco Standard. There you see it. Another advertisement for the talk with me and Tim. But here it is. The 49ers offense is already clicking. Two big weapons may give it another boost. And, we go through everything in this piece. So go ahead and click on the link. Mike is putting it into the description. But I also talk about the offensive line matchup that the 49ers might be able to exploit. We take a look at ShortsGate as well in the article. I mean, like I said, it does cover everything, including the yards after the catch per completion, going from number 1 to number 32 for the 49ers. But, when you do look at that New England Patriots front, and when we're talking about the other side of the ball now for the 49ers, the Patriots have blocked well in the run game, but the pass game has let up way, way too much. In fact, they rank number 32. They rank dead last in the NFL in pass block win rate. So the 49ers played an atrocious line last week, one that was maligned by injuries in the Rams. They pass rushed fine. Kyle Shanahan was actually happy with the 49ers pass rush, but they didn't overwhelm the Rams in a way that previous 49ers defensive lines would have overmatched offensive lines. Well, they get another chance to try to overwhelm an offensive line this weekend. That's the New England line, which ranks even worse in pass block win rate. So by the metrics, the two worst offensive lines in the league are facing the 49ers in consecutive weeks. Problem for San Francisco now, though, is that there is no Javon Hargrave. So, and that's something that I went through in this article. Hargrave, this is no small loss for the 49ers. You can see it right here. This is from Seth Walder at ESPN. He's got the XY axis. Both Hargrave and Malik Collins are above average in terms of pass rush win rate, but look how high up Javon Hargrave is. Second only to Zach Allen, who's having a hell of a year. But Hargrave way up here, he's not going to be available to the 49ers any longer. So Malik Collins is above average. How else do the 49ers find somebody who can generate a productive pass rush from the interior? Are they going to go to Jordan Elliott, who's back at practice after rolling his ankle? He seems to be more of a run stopper, but he's definitely an option for San Francisco. Are they going to count more on Kevin Givens? We can talk about a potential outside signing, but that's not going to happen before this game against the Patriots. I think this game against New England is about San Francisco going out and taking care of a New England offensive line that quite simply has not been good. So that definitely is one of the points of emphasis for the 49ers against New England. Take advantage of what's there, and that is not a good offensive line. Anyway, we talk about the meat left on the bone for the 49ers offense in this piece. Another critical stat that I've looked at so far when we're talking about the 49ers going against a lot of three-man rushes so far this year, and I think the New England is probably going to try some of the same in this football game to limit the 49ers yards after the catch. But the tight window rate that Brock Purdy has thrown the football into, This calls for a whole separate video to examine, but I wanted to share some of these numbers with you right now. He's thrown into tight windows 23% of the time this year, which is the second highest rate in the league. He's also averaging over 3 seconds from snap to throw, 3.05, which is the second longest average time in the league. We know that Brock Purdy is not holding on to the ball too long because he's a slow processor. He's holding on to the ball for a long time because he's waiting for guys to get open. And there could be some separation issues. Some of the numbers have indicated that. Some of the separation grades have indicated that, especially with Brandon Aiyuk not being as good as he was last year, at least yet. But I think the main culprit for the separation rate being lower, for the tight window throw rate being higher for Brock Purdy is defenses are running so many 8-man coverages against the 49ers. They're dropping 8 into coverage instead of just 7. That narrows the windows, that creates problem and havoc with the passing lanes, and it makes Brock Purdy run around a little bit more to finally find a lane that's open. So all the stats do indicate that that's what's happening here. Purdy running around more like prime Russell Wilson. Over 3 seconds is the average time from snap to release, and Purdy throwing into tight windows over 23% of the time, the number 2 rate in the league. I think, and then you see the yards after the catch. That's the most damning one to me, that the 49ers are not operating this offense as efficiently because of personnel as they were in the past. And the yak has gone down to number 32. Kyle Shanahan today acknowledged that there still is meat on the bone for the 49ers in this regard. So these are the kind of things that I'm going to be tracking for the 49ers offense against the New England Patriots, and a defense that has not ranked well for New England so far this year. I want to see if San Francisco can take what hasn't been as efficient, like the yak, and make it efficient, while recognizing that Brock Purdy's done such a good job so far this year that the 49ers are still a top 5 pass offense, despite not having some of the ingredients that they normally do. We're only 3 games into this. We'll have a full month of a sample, and that's when I do my first analytics report, usually is after a month, to see what trends are, starting to firm up for this 49ers offense, what trends are starting to firm up for the defense, the special teams too. So we're still in the exploratory, the learning stage of all this, but I have noticed some of the more jarring things so far, and the yak is one of them. And that's happened without Deebo Samuel and George Kittle last week. Both of those guys seem to be on their way back against the Patriots come Sunday. So that is a run through of a lot of the major news. Why don't we open this up to Q&A for a few minutes before I get going? I'm going to be in a suite at the Giants game right behind home plate tonight. I know the season's about to end for the Giants, but I got invited to, I think it's the Dugout Club suite. So I'm going to check that out today and hopefully see some good baseball. I know the Giants haven't delivered all too much of that this year, but it's still going to be a fun time, a little bit of time off from work. And while I'm out there, you guys, if you're not watching the game, you can definitely read the article, which is now linked in the description. Go ahead and get your email in there so you can be alerted about all the cool stuff that we're doing at the Standard as well. I'm ready to answer some questions. And, earlier today I gave an actually accurate Christian McCaffrey update. Maybe I should continue with that. I said the ramp-up process is going to be starting soon. I was correct. The ramp-up process is going to be beginning on Monday. That's when the 49ers are targeting for Christian McCaffrey, who is now back from Germany, despite the freakouts, despite the false reports, the false headlines, all this and all that, the name calling on the internet. It turns out that the cooler heads have prevailed again, and that's this channel. Christian McCaffrey's ramp-up period is going to begin Monday, and we can continue to say that we don't know what the exact timeline is because the 49ers don't either. They're dealing with an unpredictable situation, Achilles tendonitis. They need to keep the inflammation down so they can start building Christian McCaffrey back up, and they've got 2 games left on injured reserve for the minimum length of IR stay for Christian McCaffrey. They can obviously keep him on there for longer, but they want to see how this all progresses while being as safe as possible with Christian McCaffrey's return to the football field. All right, let us answer some questions before I have to head out to the ballpark. Is there any indication of what role Brandon Staley's playing? Yes, he's a whiteboard guy, working mainly with the defensive backs. That's what he's been doing. Nick Sorensen is calling the plays. 49ers have been clear about that, and there have been no signs of that changing. He is giving the defensive backs his analytically oriented coaching. You want a Feliciano update? I don't think there is one right now, coming off of knee surgery. That's something I'll ask Kyle Shanahan about next week. Talanoa Hufanga rolled his ankle, so I don't think he's going to be considering retirement. That's what this question is about, because of a rolled ankle. So don't worry too much about that. I think that there are bound to be some bumps and bruises in the return from a major injury like his ACL tear, but Talanoa Hufanga did make it back from that. Unfortunately, he rolled his ankle this week. Bo says that explains why the pass defense is bad. I'm not sure that Talanoa Hufanga rolling his ankle in practice this week explains why the pass defense is bad. I think that the 49ers have a new defensive coordinator. I don't think their pass rush has been great, even though they played a terrible offensive line last week. They didn't overwhelm them. The new coordinator probably means that tying rushing coverage together hasn't been the smoothest of operations. Yes, the safety play is in a situation where they haven't had the cohesion building time yet. Prior to this past game, Hufanga and Jair Brown had only played about 5 snaps together in the 2023 preseason. Charvarius Ward didn't seem fully healthy last week. That's also an issue for the 49ers. And they don't have Dre Greenlaw right now. So Fred Warner can be an all-world player, a future Hall of Famer. But to be 100% honest, beyond Fred Warner, it hadn't been good coverage-wise at the linebacker position. So there are holes in the 49ers defense, and there's obviously been some coaching turnover, and that's why we're talking about this defense as a bottom-tier defense right now. They're in the 20s. The pass defense is, I think, a little bit better than the run defense, but the run defense has been number 28. They've got to get a lot of things fixed, and they just lost Javon Hargrave as they try to do that. So there is some soul searching happening now on the defensive side of the ball for the 49ers. Braden asked, do the 49ers have a cornerback problem? As I just said, I do think that health does appear to be a little bit of an issue, or was, although Kyle Shanahan has said that Charvarius Ward is full go this week. Will Sorensen improve or find his identity as a defensive coordinator? I will tell you that Nick Sorensen is in a similar boat as DeMeco Ryans was in 2021. And the 49ers defense struggled through the first half of the season in 2021. Jimmy Garoppolo had to carry a lot of what the 49ers were doing in some of those games, and it wasn't enough. Just like Brock Purdy's efforts haven't been enough over the past 2 weeks because the defense has been getting roasted. So it's important that Nick Sorensen finds his footing sooner rather than later for the 49ers. We can just put it that way in this 2024 season. But the hope is that that does happen. Everybody has to grow on the job. Yes, I did say that D. Winters is questionable. Appreciate it, Braden. Thank you. Speaking of the new job, you can follow me along at the San Francisco Standard here. Link is in the description. Go ahead and click on it. You can read that for free. But what I would ask you to do is put your email in the prompt when it asks you, so you're updated about everything coming in from the San Francisco Standard. One step that's not that hard for everybody watching. Enter your email. Click on the link. Enter your email. And I promise there's so much in-depth stuff in this article about the 49ers that I cranked out today. I mean, the coolest stat is that yards on throws of 10 or more yards, the 49ers have 581, the Patriots at 84. San Francisco leading the league, New England last in the league. And then this yak stuff is crazy too. I mean, number 32 for the 49ers. We'll see if they can turn that around. As you know, I like to include all the data and actually accurate McCaffrey updates in my work. So go ahead and check that out. All right, I've got to head out to the Giants game, so go see that. This has been a nice little preview, I hope, of the 49ers offense working against Keon White and that number 27 ranked Patriots defense. Brock Purdy getting some weapons back for this football game, and that's important, although he might lose Trent Williams. We'll see on that toe injury as Sunday does approach. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.